Welcome back to Lokumu Podcast. Thank you so much again for joining us today on this wonderful journey. It's been amazing. As you know, we're back again with Dr. Mmatheo Motsisi. It's going to be another great conversation, and it's going to be a really cool journey. Dr. Mmatheo is with us again today. I'm going to let her in to give the first intro words, as always, before we bombard you with with everything that we have today. Dr. Mmatheo, you're welcome. Any welcoming words for the audience?
Thank you, Lokumo. Let's just pause for a moment and reflect on the lotus, because all of us, we are that lotus that is emerging from murky waters and waking itself towards self-liberation, spiritual awakening, healing, and becoming. The message of the lotus, when you look at yourself as the lotus, that flower, the lotus itself, the message that it gives to us, it's about being content, contentment. When you look at its environment, the murky waters, it's waters where human nature wouldn't want to be in that kind of waters. Murky waters considered dirty and lifeless, but it emerges from those waters, murky as they are, and it's content. So if there's any message that is going to be buried in your heart, our hearts, my heart, it's about be content in the environment you find yourself in, because you are in a state of evolution, forever becoming the best version of self, a state of remembering who you are beyond constrained, created boundaries by humans or how the society defines you. Be content, thrive in the murky waters, and be content because you are becoming the best version of self, and you are remembering, you are self-liberating, and you're rising.
Awesome. That is great. That is very powerful. So I think now we just going to get into it. You know, there are a lot of questions, especially from the book, The Gem, your book, your recent book. There are a lot of things that need to be talked about. Plenty, like it's endless. So, but we're gonna try to get it in a way that everybody will be able to digest and understand. So, on my side, I think the question that been in my mind is about self-liberation and identity. You know, your book talks about, you know, shedding societal conditioning and embracing our true selves. So I want to help the audience to understand what does liberation, self-liberation really means, and how can they and everybody else out there understand it in a very simple way without overthinking, just to lay out that perfect, not perfect, but simple understanding so that they can understand what it truly means for them and for everybody, especially as a book emphasizes on, interconnectedness. Everything is one. We all one. So if you can help them understand that, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna lay out a very powerful foundation for the upcoming question that we have. I mean, the upcoming conversation that we're gonna have.
The word itself, self, when you break it down, self-liberation, self, it's referring to an individuation of self. We are individuals, but we didn't fall from nowhere. We still connected to the greater I am. We are a macrocosm of the greater I am, which is the microcosm. So self-liberation, it's about becoming a theme that I emphasize so much in all my uh, when I speak about becoming the architect of your own reality. When you become the architect of your own reality, you do not allow yourself to be acted upon. Neither do you allow yourself to be defined by the perceptions of others. Yes, they might say you this and this. They are entitled to their own perception, but that doesn't mean you are that which you are being defined by the other. So self-liberation, it's about realizing that you are an individual, but you're still part of the whole. You are interconnected with everything around you, within and around you. You awaken to the realization that you have entered into this physical plane, having chosen as a spirit to take form and operate in a human body, which I'll call a vessel. And you come fully equipped to be able, just like a car, when you purchase a car, it's equipped.
Mm.
You, as the spirit, as the driver, is going to step into that car and drive the car. But the car is fully engineered to be able to for you to use it in whichever way to transport you to when you sit on that car driving, you're fully confident that it's been designed by its creator and engineered in such a way that it will deliver. So the notion of thinking we're less capable of actually living a life worthy of self-honor. I said self-honor, living a life of um, creating. If you are the architect of your own reality, you create your own
Yeah.
reality. You don't wait for somebody to define and create. And by the way, I've gone through that journey myself and I have awakened. If you don't know yourself, somebody will create the world for you. When you know who you are, when you know who you are, you step into the world awaken with your lights on, like a car. When you're driving, people who drive, when you're driving and you're passing through a tunnel, and some cars automatically the light will switch on to illuminate the path for you. So when you enter into this world and your lights are on, you are not looking for the light. You're not moving towards the light in front of you. You are that light. You illuminating your own path. You are the light. There's a saying. There's a saying which to me doesn't make sense. It says, "Move towards the light." I don't move towards the light. I am the light. I illuminate my own path. And if I can do it, so everybody can. So if
Yeah.
you illuminate the path, if you illuminate the path ahead of you, you pierce through darkness with your own light. So why should you wait for somebody to come and give you the key of self-liberation when you can actually liberate yourself because you design your own life? You are the architect. You the one who's sitting on the pedestal. You sovereign unto self.
Mm. Yeah, that's very powerful. I mean, this is quite simple and understandable. And that will also lead us to the question of who am I? But before we get into that, I just want to add a little bit. Self-liberation, we might, think it's something that might be difficult. It can only be difficult if you want to make it difficult. It's something that is very um it part of your nature, if I can say that. It's in your nature. It's in within you. That's why you feel the need to express yourself. But unfortunately, we have, since we've been conditioned to
Mm.
act and do things in a certain way that only benefit a certain group of people, because of power and greediness. That's why we feel like it's difficult because that is the condition. And those who put us upon us, they know exactly when you begin that journey of self-liberation, it's something else. It's something that that is contagious. It can spread so quickly because it's part of our nature. We don't have to look for it, you know. So just look around you, look around yourself, look around nature. You get an answer, you get a tip. Nature always gives us, that hint on what we should do and how we should, you know, uh, live our lives here. Because we always think like, we've been created, we've been dumped in here, just, do whatever you want or uh, be whatever you want. And after that, it's done, you're gone, and end of the story. But it's more there's a lot into that. I have so much things going on in my head. I don't want to complicate things. As I said, the book, Dr. Mmatheo's book, has a lot of things going on in that book. So you have to get it and immerse yourself in that journey. But yeah, so let's get into that question. How can
May I chip in while I was listening to you? I just want to not correct, I just want us to be aligned with the energy of the universe while we're diving into this.
yeah,
The minute you blame others, the minute you say the system is doing this, the minute you say so and so has done this, you lose your power.
yeah,
You lose your power because you're surrendering your indomitable power, your God-given right
yeah,
to whoever you're blaming and you say, I am a product of your creation. May we take those words back. Neither of us, we are a production of anybody's creation,
yeah,
whether it's the system, whether it's the rulers, whether it's the government, whether it's a country. You are not a product of the system unless you've allowed it and you've given over your power to be ruled and controlled. You can deprogram yourself from that conditioning. You can rise from the murky waters. So the minute you say, so and so is doing this, you have lost the power to self-liberate. Don't blame, embrace, and reclaim your power back instead of blaming the system, the government, an individual, the elite. Nobody must be blamed except yourself for having lost your power to be your own architect.
yeah. Yes, that is true. That is very true. And that's the most difficult part of it. um, that people find themselves in, the victim mindset. We always love to be victims, but that is a very good approach. No one is to blame because we all part of the game. So we have to figure out and find a way because there is a way. There will always be a way. So that is very important. So
I love, I
we
love the
we
phrase, life is
yeah,
a game. And I want to realize that life is a journey and it's a game, and you know the rules of the game and you play the game joyfully. You
yeah,
realize that you are not bound, you are not
mm,
in chains, you are not in a cage, you are as free as a bird.
yeah, yeah, true. Yes, so let's get back to that question. Um, a lot of people do struggle. I'm aware of that. Do struggle with the question of who I am. They kind of like get it in a very difficult way. They seek answers to from other, source of information which are not um which is I don't want to say inaccurate, but which instead drives them outside of the whole outside of the true question itself. So they always look out to something else to kind of give them the answer of who they are. Whereby in my understanding, in my experience as well, I know that that question can only come from yourself, within yourself. So I want to hear from you. How can somebody begin that journey of knowing their self, knowing themselves? You know, how can they start that? How can it begin? What is the first step, maybe, or let's say, what is the first thing to consider or to remember when getting into that journey of knowing who you are, the true you, not your name, not your identity, not your role, but the true you, your deeper self.
The question of who am I remember when I was going through that process and I started asking myself who I am. Our life was challenging in a manner that nothing was making sense to me with all the qualifications behind me, with the work that I was doing, making a difference. And people get defined by the status, qualification, based on qualifications. I'm so and so's mother, so and so's wife. All those external frills that define them, I had them in abundance. Those were external, but I was feeling the emptiness within me. Because at the end of the day, it's not that which is external, which I have accumulated during this earthly journey, which is going to fill the void and the sense of contentment that the Lotus teaches us. I was feeling lonely and lost and lacking direction.
Yeah.
And during that period, I went into what we call the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is where you realize that I will label it dark night of the soul. At that time, I didn't know that it's dark night of the soul. I'm talking about something that happened 15 years ago. I went into that dark night of the soul, and then I started questioning. Yes, I was going to church every Sunday. For instance, I thought I was going to church to find my spirituality, but I realized that it was not filling the void of coming home to self. So then I started asking 3 questions, which are actually in my first book, Odyssey of a Healer. I asked myself those questions because nobody could tell me who I am. Everybody had defined me. My mother had defined, my parents had defined me. The society had defined me. My patients, because I'm a healer, had defined me. Everybody had something to say about me, but I had nothing to say about myself except I carry all these qualifications and the names given to me. So I asked those 3 questions. Who am I? Okay? Not that when you answer, immediately you'll find answers. I asked, who am I? And then I paused. And it was a question that was always with me, whether I'm attending to a client or a patient, whatever. It was something that is at the back of my mind. Who am I? And then the second question was, where do I come from? I mean, I've landed here. Surely I must have come from somewhere to find myself navigating in this physical terrain. So the question of who am I, it's not a riddle to be solved. It's an invitation. When you start asking yourself, who am I? It's an invitation to explore.
Yeah.
It's not a question towards your final destination. There's no destination. There's no thing that we call the final destination. When you understand, or when we understand that we are on a state of forever becoming and evolving in this cycle of life. It's not linear, it's a cycle. So there's no destination because in the lessons, as you travel in your own journey of self-discovery, you'll realize that some experiences, some lessons are actually repeated, in a sense that you seem to be experiencing the same thing over and over, and you experience that because you haven't actually awakened or gathered the message from the lesson itself. So it keeps on, you keep on the onion peel, you keep on repeating the same onion layer, you're trying to remove it, but it's not being removed because you need to actually touch the cracks of it and gather the information and be empowered from the experience itself. So it's not actually a destination. And life itself, life, it's a journey. It's a journey that is not linear. It's a journey that is cyclical, in a sense that you go through this journey, you experience, it's like when you go through a treasure hunt. When you go through a treasure hunt, you don't know where you're actually going to be finding wherever at each spot, but you'll only know the next spot when you've actually arrived at the spot where you're supposed to arrive and gather the information and find the piece that you're supposed to collect, and it will usher you into the next level. So is life. When you've actually, it's a journey. Take yourself that you are this priceless gemstone and you gathering the pieces to polish yourself. And every time you arrive at a certain spot, you gather what's required to actually, and the information, and it will give you the compass of where of the next location in yourself, within you. So you are in this maze, and the maze is within you, and you're navigating it. So you should not be doing it with somebody must be giving you the rules of the game. Life itself must be the best the best initiator. Life itself must be the teacher and open doors for you. So just like the journey itself of self-discovery, it's ongoing. So is healing. Healing is synonymous to arriving at your state of wholeness. Arriving at your state of wholeness, we're talking about, when we say you healed, it's not about the physical symptoms. Healing is reclaiming your state of wholeness, which probably along the way you've actually moved a bit away from it. And your wholeness is defined by your mind, body, and spirit. So when you say wholeness, somebody, when they say, I am healed or I'm undergoing healing, they are saying, I'm integrating my mind, my body, and my spirit. Because we exist as in Trinity. We are triune beings made of the mind, the body, and the spirit. So when you can integrate the three, you actually addressing the healing aspect of your being in order to arrive at your state of wholeness. So each moment becomes, you don't live in the past, neither do you live in the future. You live in the present moment, where every step is an act of affirmation of who you are. Every step you take becomes an act of remembrance of who you are. Every step you take becomes an act of realization that you're capable, and you are well equipped to be able to navigate the terrain that you find yourself in. So that is why every step becomes an act of affirmation. Every step you take, you are affirming that I am who I am because I know who I am. And I'm returning to that state of wholeness because I'm integrating my mind, my body, and the spirit. I see the totality of my existence. I'm not only dissecting I'm saying medical term with a medical background. I'm not
Yeah.
separating myself from the mind, the body, and the spirit. And I think I've said a mouthful, and you can add. Okay.
Yeah, that is very powerful. Very powerful because especially at this time, in this day and age, and we've been, I mean, we're seeing signs, we're seeing a lot of things going on. And if at least you are not yet, or you haven't discovered, or haven't, uh, uh, how can I put it? If you have not yet seen the direction of self-knowing, of self-discovery, it's gonna be harder for you to do it in the next couple of years to come, because now remember we are um creating we're showing ourselves that we are powerful, but at the same time we are being ignorant of our own power. We're creating
Mm.
robots, we're creating artificial intelligence, and that in the future, in a very near future, it's going to kind of blind us even more of our true power, because we're creating these things and we're hoping that these things that we're creating are going to help us, which is a very complicated situation, a very contradicting situation, because you cannot create something that's going to help you, because you are the source of it all. You are the source of everything which that particular thing came from. And that is also the same understanding we should keep in our mind when we're going back, as Mmatheo said, returning to the source. We have to keep that in mind. We are nothing different from the source. So the
Mm.
source cannot help us, you know, it's us that can only find and figure out a way to get back to the source, because ultimately it's a game. We are here to play it, and we put ourselves in this game knowing that we will return, but we just want to play it and find out how really good we can play that game. So getting yourself in that path and the self-discovery journey in this moment, in this time around, it's very important and very it's in your advantage, because believe me or not, when those robots start talking and start dictating you, hey, then it's another story. So we have to get it done now. And it's very important. You have to learn, you have to find out, you have to do research, you have to get yourself involved in, leave out everything that is not necessary, really, because we get ourselves into unnecessary things. We know we want to be entertained, that's fine. But at the same time, we really have to put our time and energy on things that is very important for our destiny. So with that being said, I think we kind of run out of time. We're gonna end it from here, and I'm gonna let Dr. Mattel to give us the last closing words. And next time when we come back, we're gonna expand more and continue with this great conversation. The most important thing, remember, you have the power. The power is yours. Nobody is taking the power away from you. And remove that victim mindset. It's not healthy for you. It's not something that looks good on you. You look good when you feel powerful, and get yourself in that mindset, and everything will be well. Forget about all the struggles. It's all part of the game. Struggles are nothing but stepping stone to your true power. So, Dr. Mateo, any closing words um, from you?
You've actually said it. Struggles or challenges, they're an invitation to go within and realize the power that is within you to be anything that you want to be.
Yeah,
Because when you realize the indomitable power within you, you realize that you can create your own reality. You realize that as much as you are the seeker, you are also the answer. You realize that in this journey of seeking, which you've actually directed externally in the red race of seeking things outside self, you actually the answer of that which you're seeking. So once you realize that you are both the seeker and the answer, you are the dense and the denser, you are the lover and the beloved, you are the lotus and its murky waters, you'll realize that nothing outside of self can define you, and nothing outside of self has got the power to dominate you unless you surrender your power to that which you've allowed to control you. It will surely control you. And with those words, let's awaken. We are in an era of the great awakening. There's nothing to fear because there's no monster out there. You've created your own monster. Face the monster and make peace with the monster because the monster has got lessons to teach you. And if you can dance with the monster, then you'll see the saint in you.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I could say hallelujah to that. But yeah, that is also very powerful words, very powerful word. Thank you so much, Dr. Mateo. That was very powerful. And yeah, as always, we appreciate your time and your knowledge, and hopefully the audience as well. From your side, just get the book, read it, and inform yourself. There's a lot to learn in the gym. And yeah, it's available on Take a Lot if you're local, internationally on Amazon. You can get a copy, um you can get it delivered to your door. With that being said, we are not done. We're just pausing for today and we come back again next time. Till then, bye.